Iowa Republican Senator Chuck Grassley is here. And, sir, good morning to you. It's been a minute. Thanks for coming back here. You heard the statement from the former president. Here is Dan Goldman, Democrat from New York, who echoed the same thing. Watch here.
The bottom line is this is also a distraction. The idea of focusing on President Biden is a way of distracting from Donald Trump's efforts to completely undermine our democracy. You won the election. Let's move forward. But if we're going to move forward, do it lawfully and don't try to bring us back to Joe Biden.
Sir, you can respond to that and tell me this. Do you think Republicans are onto something here?
I think that the president made a wise decision that the Department of Justice ought to get to the bottom of it. There's been a lot of legal and constitutional questions that have been raised. They need to be answered, and the American people are entitled to know what the truth is, whether or not the law was being abided by or whether President Biden was avoiding his responsibilities.
Okay, but you've got an ear to the ground down there. What's your hunch at the moment?
My hunch at the moment is that they're going to come up with a lot of things that the president did not sign, maybe thousands of things that's signed by AutoPan. And if that's the case, it would raise a lot of questions about the thoroughness when 2,500 people were pardoned, including people with a murder conviction. Those are serious charges. I don't know the answer, but I'm sure that Pam Bondi will get to the bottom of it.
Okay, but Senator, I apologize for the interruption there. It's my understanding it's not illegal to use an AutoPan, is it?
I can't answer that question for you. Maybe I should be able to, but I can't, and I'm not going to comment on something I don't know for sure.
Okay, so what the president's talking about is 200 judges appointed to federal benches, the issuance of more than 1,000 presidential documents. There are questions about pardons, et cetera, and we'll see where this goes. In the meantime, the former FBI director, Christopher Wray, when he was in charge, there were some doubts on behalf of Republicans about looking into radical traditionalist Catholics in America. And he eventually copped it. There was one FBI office in one part of the country that had this particular memo. Here he is about 2 years ago on the Hill answering that.
The only involvement of the two other field offices was the Richmond authors of the product included 2 sentences or something of thereabouts referencing each of these other offices' cases, and they sent those sentences about the other offices' cases to them, not the whole product, and asked them, hey, did we describe your case right? That's all the other offices had. So it was a single field office's product, and I stand by that.
Senator, you were in that hearing. You're knee deep into this issue now. Was he telling the truth?
Yeah, he's lying, and he ought to be follow up, because if people that lie to Congress aren't held accountable, it just encourages more people to lie. But the fact is that we've had whistleblowers come to us since this famous Richmond memo was made public. We found out that 13 other documents went out, and at least 1,000 people had access to information that presumably was following up on some things that the Southern Law Center, Poverty Law Center, was telling people that the Catholic Church needed to be watched because it could be considered a terrorist organization. And just even that charge in and of itself is ridiculous. And you'd think that a responsible FBI director would make sure that that shouldn't be followed up on.
Wow. So you're saying that Christopher Wray was lying, Senator?
Yeah, he was.
How come?
Well, he said that there was a memo that just went to the Richmond Law Center, and I gave you the figures that 13 other documents went out, and it went out to 1,000 people. That's more than just Richmond.
Why would he not be square in his hearing then, under oath?
It could be. I suppose the only excuse he could give me for accusing him of lying is he was going by the information he had at that particular time. But it seems to me that just the issue of the Catholic Church being considered a terrorist organization or terrorist activities by the Southern Poverty Law Center ought to be enough to raise questions of how ridiculous it is in the first place that the Catholic Church or Catholics ought to be watched.
Wow. Should we expect more from this senator?
I would, well, first of all, we've got the information. We're going to see whether or not a hearing is necessary. I only use a hearing if we can't get the information other ways.
Wow. Senator, thanks for coming on, and we'll follow it. And if there are updates, we'll give them to our viewers when appropriate. Chuck Grassley.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your time. Jackie.